Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 162, The Deer Hunter, which is a drama war film from 1978. And this has an 8.1 on 299,601 votes. So the mystery line that we are revealing today is from The Thing. And it was You Had Me at Hello. And let me check real quick. Okay, none there. And none there. So nobody got that one correct. That is from the movie Jerry Maguire, which I actually have not seen. I heard it's really good. But
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I'll get there eventually.
Eventually, after all the other movies we gotta watch.
Yeah. So, yeah. We have 3 colors left. Light blue, dark blue, and red.
Let's go with red.
Alright. So, if someone doesn't get this one, I will be severely disappointed. May the force be with you. That is the mystery line.
No wonder you're giggling.
Yeah, I'll be severely disappointed if no one gets that one.
Is it the first time that's said, or...
It doesn't matter, honestly. It really does not matter.
It's like, someone better get that, or else I will be sad too.
So yeah, make sure you take your guess. That one will be revealed in The Sixth Sense. So the spoiler-free synopsis for a film this week. In 1968, Michael, Nick, and Steven, lifelong friends from working-class Pennsylvania steel town, prepare to ship out overseas following Steven's elaborate wedding and one final group hunting trip. In Vietnam, their dreams of military honor are quickly shattered by the inhumanities of war. Even those who survive are haunted by the experience, as is Nick's hometown sweetheart, Linda. So yeah.
Alright. So this is directed by Michael Cimino. He's directed other movies like Heaven's Gate, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, and Year of the Dragon. This stars Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken, and John Cazale.
Yeah. And Meryl Streep, just because she's... I think this is like the only movie that we have of hers on the list. But yeah, her too. So... the ratings for this one. On IMDb, 29.6% of users rated this at an 8. Metacritic, it has an 86%. Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 93% on 71 critical reviews. So 2 of the fresh. Arthur Knight, to my mind, The Deer Hunter is a major achievement in American movies, and I fervently hope that the American public won't vote me wrong. Okay. Kate Murr. The movie won 5 Oscars, and if anything, improves with age. I mean, she's right, it did win 5 Oscars.
I'm like, there's a fact there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 2 Rotten. Gary Arnold. The wayward, maddening screenplay succeeds only in working up a gruesome melodramatic ladder. Hardly the catharsis promised by a bold treatment of the wounds of our most divisive war. Yeah, you don't really see much of the war.
No, you really don't.
So then Jonathan Rosenbaum. A disgusting account of what the evil Vietnamese did to poor innocent Americans stands at the center of this Oscar-laden weepy about macho buddies from a small industrial town.
Okay, that actually makes me laugh.
I don't like
The
that.
Oscar-laden weepy. That just cracked me up.
And then the consensus. Its greatness is blunted by its length and one-sided point of view, but the film's weaknesses are overpowered by Michael Cimino's sympathetic direction and a series of heartbreaking performances by Robert De Niro, Meryl Streep, and Christopher Walken.
I can see the De Niro and the Walken.
You don't like Meryl Streep, do you?
I am not a fan. I am honest. I am not a fan of Meryl Streep.
I like her. So the money for this one. The budget was $15 million. Domestically, it made $48,979,328. Internationally, it made $94,915 for a worldwide total of $49,074,243. The top lifetime adjusted gross, adjusted to 2020, it is number 609. So, the awards. The Oscars, it won 5. It had 17 other wins and 26 other nominations. So, the Oscars that it won were Best Picture, Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Christopher Walken, Best Director, Best Sound, and Best Film Editing. And then the Oscars that it was nominated for but did not win were Best Actor in a Leading Role, Robert De Niro, Best Actress in a Supporting Role, Meryl Streep, Best Writing, Screenplay written directly for the screen, and Best Cinematography. So, the actor that won Best Actor in a Leading Role was Jon Voight for Coming Home. And then Best Actress in a Supporting Role was Maggie Smith for California Suite. I don't even care what movie it was. She deserves it.
It's Maggie Smith. Enough said.
And then Best Cinematography went to Days of Heaven. Let's see, what else did it? Best Writing. Every time I look at this, it's in a completely different order. Okay, so the Best Writing Screenplay written directly for the screen was Coming Home. That's what beat The Deer Hunter in those categories. And then the movies that The Deer Hunter beat out for Best Picture was Coming Home, Midnight Express, An Unmarried Woman, and Heaven Can Wait. So a bunch of movies I've never seen.
Yeah, same.
The only one I've seen now is The Deer Hunter.
Same.
So yeah, that's the Oscars. Then the Golden Globes, it only won one of them. And then it was nominated for 1, 2, 3, 4. It had 5 nominations besides the one it won. The one that it won was Best Director, Motion Picture, Michael Cimino. And then the ones it was nominated for, Best Motion Picture Drama, Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama, Robert De Niro, Best Actor in a Supporting Role, Motion Picture, Christopher Walken, Best Actress in a Supporting Role, Motion Picture, Meryl Streep, and Best Screenplay, Motion Picture, are the ones it was nominated for. And so Warren Beatty for Heaven Can Wait beat Robert De Niro. Oh wait, nope, just kidding. Jon Voight for Coming Home beat Robert De Niro. John Hurt for Midnight Express beat Christopher Walken. Jane Fonda for Coming Home beat Oh, wait, nope, that's Best Actress. God damn it. Dane Cannon for Heaven Can Wait beat Meryl Streep. And then... these are always in a terrible order. And then Best Motion Picture Drama. Same movies as the Oscar Best Picture, but it was Midnight Express that won that one. So, the BAFTA Awards. This one won 2 BAFTAs and then was nominated for 7, but that it didn't win. So, Best Cinematography and Best Editing are the ones that it won. Best Actor, Robert De Niro. Best Actress, Meryl Streep. Best Direction, Michael Cimino. Best Film, Best Screenplay, Best Soundtrack, and Best Supporting Actor, Christopher Walken, are the ones that it didn't win, but it just got nominated for. So, you can see why people like it. Just like based on the awards.
Yeah.
So initial thoughts.
Alright, I'll go. I do not know anything about this, which is probably a good thing going in. I did not know anything, like, at all.
Yeah.
So, which is nice. I like sometimes going into movies like that. All I knew that it had De Niro and Walken, and I was like, alright, that sets it up for some good things there. Because I like both those actors. I just felt like it was too long. It's 3 hours. And I feel like it could have been cut down to at least 2.5 hours. That's what I feel like. There are some kind of brutal things in here.
Yeah.
I would say, like, the subject matter. I mean, it does talk about the Vietnam War a little bit. Shows a little bit of it, but not much of it. And I think it was trying to show, like, what happens after people come back from war. And I feel like they could have done a better job at that.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't, like, I feel like they could have focused a little bit more on that. Because, you know, it shows 3 different guys going off to war and 3 different experiences and how they come back and handle it. I mean, I just felt like I could have done better. But overall, I thought it was alright. Yeah, it was alright. I mean, I can see why people like it, and I can also see why people don't like it.
Yeah. So for me, I agree it was long. Like, each part of this movie took an hour.
Yes.
And I was just like, the only hour that I really liked was the second hour. The only thing I knew going in was that it was a war movie. And I honestly don't think there was enough war in it to consider it a war movie, honestly, for me.
Yeah.
Compared to the other war movies that we've watched.
Like, was it Platoon or something?
Yeah, Platoon is, like, all war. And that one's based in Vietnam, too, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. So,
we've seen one of the other Vietnam movies, and I like that one better. It was really long. Yes, there's really good acting in it. This is one that's on our scratch-off poster that we have.
Oh.
And so, Sean watched the first 2 hours with me, and then he gave up. He decided he was done. Because he was bored within, like, the first hour, but then he's like, oh, I'll stick it out for a little bit longer, and then finally we get to the war part, and then he's entertained, and then after that he was like, okay, now I'm done. So yeah. I don't really have much else initial thoughts, other than it's really long.
Yeah.
That's it.
Boiler alert! Boiler alert! Boiler alert! Boiler alert! Boiler alert! Boiler alert!
Alright, that was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. So we start off in this little town in, like, Pennsylvania. And I thought the name of the town was so funny. It's Claritin, which is my allergy medicine. So I was, like, cracking up at the name of the town. But it's, like, the late 60s. And we get introduced to the main guys. Michael, who's played by Robert De Niro. Steven, who's played by John Savage. Nick, played by Christopher Walken. Stanley, by John Cazale. John, by George Jones something. And then Axel is played by Chuck Aspergren. And they're all just really good friends. They all work together. They all go have fun and drink together. They go hunting together. And they just get off of work. And I did really like this beginning where they're at work. I thought this aged really well. And I think that's because they actually shot it at the steel mill or wherever it is that they work.
It's at a steel mill. I recognized it.
So I thought that was really well done. And I think that's why that part looked really good. So they get done working and they're like, oh, we're gonna go hunting tonight, but then Steven's like, well, I'm getting married tonight, so you guys aren't going hunting. And they're just messing with them and stuff. So we see the like preparations for the wedding, really. The guys all just go to the bar and get drunk, and the girls are all getting ready, like
those
getting
pink dresses
on. Yeah.
Those pink dresses, oh god.
They got their pink dresses. We see the cake, which I wrote down, how did they get the cake there without it falling? I was like, there's no way.
It was impressive.
Like, I don't even think that's a real cake. I think that was like something that they shaped into a cake and put icing on.
Yeah, I was just cracking up about that cake, too. I was like, you got these little old ladies just carrying this cake.
Yeah. We see the bride getting ready, and she's kind of, like, messing with her stomach a little bit. Like, she's pregnant or something.
Yeah.
Which I think she is pregnant.
Yeah.
So, the guys are all at the bar hanging out and stuff, and one thing I noticed is that they were watching football, and they happened to be watching the Eagles play, so I wrote, fuck the Eagles.
The Eagles and the Steelers.
Okay, so yeah, definitely fuck the Eagles.
I was like, well, they're Pennsylvania, so it's like, you're guessing. Like, it could be either team that they're cheering for. So.
Yeah. So, then it kind of gets to the wedding, and the wedding is so long.
That is such a long wedding. I was like, okay, people, we gotta wrap this wedding up. I thought there was more to this movie than this.
Like, it felt like it was actually at the wedding. Like, it was so long. It's like an hour, the wedding is.
It's long.
And the only thing that I really liked about the, like, actual ceremony was the crowns. I was like, I wish I had watched this movie before I got married so that I could have a crown.
I was like, okay, this is not a Catholic one.
No, it's...
And I was like, it's not... It looked Greek, but then I was like, wait a minute. I looked at the writings on the wall. I'm like, this is Russian.
Yeah, it's like Russian Orthodox or something.
Yes.
Which I kind of figured because of the mother of Steven.
Yeah.
Because of her accent.
It's like, it's got a Russian accent to it.
Yeah. Mom is not very happy about Steven getting married, but she is gonna let him anyways.
Yeah. Getting married and then going off to fight in Vietnam. So.
Yeah.
Not very happy. She's just worried. Which is what moms do.
Yeah. And really, the party, like the reception after the wedding, is the reception, but it's also kind of a send-off party for Nick, Steven, and Mike, because they're all going off to war.
And I like their pictures on the wall, too. Huge ones.
Yeah. I liked the pictures. It's just a lot of wedding.
There's a lot of wedding, and you see that, they do the typical bridals, wedding stuff, throw the bouquet and everything. And you see Linda, she catches the bouquet.
Yeah.
And Nick's with her, and he asks her to marry him when she catches it.
Yeah. And then it's pretty much the end of the wedding, and bride and groom are leaving. Mike decides to strip naked and run after them for some reason.
I'm like, okay, I did not expect to see, a naked De Niro, but
yeah,
there we go.
And it's like full on naked.
You see stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay then. I was not expecting that, but okay.
And Nick chases after Mike, and they get to like this basketball court, and they're talking and stuff, and Nick tells Mike that if he, not in so many words, but basically if Nick dies over there in Vietnam, he wants Mike to bring him back.
Yeah, it's like, don't leave me.
Yeah. So, the next day, I'm guessing, because the car is still decorated for the wedding, we see all the guys except for Steven are heading off to go hunting. And it's really just kind of like a guy hangout. Like, they're all making fun of each other, and they get out, stop to go to the bathroom in the woods, and they leave one of them there.
Yeah.
And, like, mess with them, which I felt like that scene went on way too long.
Yeah, it could have been shorter.
The driving off and coming back and driving off. They did it like 3 times, and I'm like, okay. But eventually they get to where they're gonna be, and they're all getting dressed, ready to go into the woods, and Stan is wanting to use Mike's boots, but Mike is being an ass about it.
Yeah. He's like, you always forget something, so no, you're not gonna borrow my boots.
Yeah. So they head up on into the woods and go hunting, and they find a deer and kill it.
And I love how when they're coming back, like, they have the deer on the hood of the car.
Yeah, it's just strapped to the hood. They make it back, and they go straight to their favorite bar, and it's actually John, one of their friends, owns that bar. And he sits down at the piano, and they just kind of watch him play. And that's, like, the end of that part.
Yeah.
Then they go to war.
It, like, automatically, like, switches. You don't get, like, no, like, break at all. You're like, okay, now we're in the middle of Vietnam. Okay.
Yeah, I liked Sean's comment, like, when we got to there, like, we see the war going on and stuff. He's like, I really expected to see a little bit of, like, basic training or something, not just straight into war. I was like, yeah, that's true.
That's what I thought also. I was like, we're not going to get any basic? Okay.
Yeah, we don't get anything, really.
It's just straight in.
Yeah. So, we see one of the North Vietnamese soldiers walking around in this village, and he opens up this small, like, and it's kind of a destroyed village, like, they've been battling there. He opens up this, I guess, hidey hole, and throws a grenade in there. And there's tons of women and children in there, and he just doesn't care. He just throws it in there and walks away.
Yeah.
One lady and her baby make it out of the little bunker, and the soldier just shoots them. And Mike's there. He's like hiding underneath all this stuff, and he like jumps up and just like flame throws the guy. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that works. It's one way to get rid of somebody.
Yeah. And then we see some soldiers like coming in the distance, and it's more of the North Vietnamese army coming, and then we can only guess what happens next, because next we see Mike and Steve and Nick all captured. And I even asked Sean, I was like, is that really what they did with their prisoners? They like have them in the river underneath their building, like tied up. And I was not expecting that.
No, they have, like, underneath there, then they have another one where it's completely in the water.
Yeah. Where, like, literally all that's out of the water is your head And there's rats in that one.
Ugh.
But, so, we get to see, I don't know if it's the first depiction of Russian roulette in a movie, but I will say it is one of the longest depictions of Russian roulette in a movie. So the soldiers are playing, like, betting on Russian roulette with each other, but it's not themselves that are playing. They're forcing their prisoners to play.
Yeah. And, like, Steve is down there. He's, like, listening to everything. He's, like, freaking out.
Yeah.
And Mike's like, shh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Calm down.
I think it was a really good job. What's his name? John Savage. He did a really good job right there. Like, going crazy, kind of. Because he just, like, he knows that they're gonna die. And so he's the next one that gets pulled up there. I think him and Mike get pulled up there. And so they have to go head to head in Russian roulette. And Steven kind of chickens out, and he, like, has the gun pointed at his head, but he, like, before he pulls the trigger, he turns it up so that the bullet just, like, barely grazes his head, and then hits the ceiling. And so the soldiers aren't very happy about that, so they put him out in the pit that's, like, almost completely filled with water, where all you can have is your head out of the water. And then Mike gets put down back underneath the building.
Yes.
And then some other prisoners play Russian roulette. And then Nick and Mike get pulled up to play. And Mike is like, well, just put 3 bullets in there.
He's like, because he's got a plan.
Yeah. So they put 3 bullets in the gun, and luckily, the first 2 times, because Nick goes and it clicks, and then Mike goes and it clicks, and then Mike loses it and he attacks the soldiers and kill them. Mike and Nick kill them all, and they escape. But they do manage to get Steve out, and they all 3 go, and they're floating down the river on a tree.
Yeah, just huge log.
Yeah. And they get to, like, this bridge, and they get up on the bridge, and they hear helicopters. And luckily they're American helicopters this time. And the helicopter, like, comes down to save them, and Nick is able to get inside, but Steven and Mike don't manage to get up into the helicopter. They fall back into the river.
Yeah.
Nick's not very happy that they got left behind, but he doesn't have much of a choice.
No, and so after that, they land pretty hard.
Yeah.
In the river, and Mike's pulling Steve out of the water, and his legs are pretty messed up. It shows, like, a little bit, too, of, like, a compound fracture.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, there's some makeup effects in this that are really well done, like that broken leg. But then there's other makeup effects.
Yeah, some of the blood.
Like the Russian roulette, when one of them gets shot in the head, where blood just, like, spurts out, like it's... Like, you know, the scene at the end of Nightmare on Elm Street when Johnny Depp gets, like, sucked into the bed and the blood's coming out?
Yes.
That's kind of like the head is like a miniature version of that. Like, it's just, like, spurting out. And I'm like, that's not how that works.
They're like, that's not how any of this works. Come on now.
But yeah. So some of the makeup effects in this are really good, but then other makeup effects in this are not very good at all.
I'm like, yeah, that one was good. The compound fracture was good.
Yeah.
Because it really looked like there was a bone sticking out.
Yeah, it did. I saw it and I was like, ow. Like, ow.
So we both made the same reaction. We're like, that looked like it hurts.
Yeah. So Mike has to carry Steve back to one of the little towns. He gets to one of the South Vietnamese little towns, and they take they take them in a jeep to join back up with the American forces.
Yeah.
All the while, Nick is recuperating in a hospital in
Saigon.
Okay. I was like, I don't remember where.
I was like Saigon. I know because I thought of Miss Saigon, the musical. You know, I always go back to a musical somehow.
Gotcha. So he's recuperating there. He's kind of lost his mind a little bit. But he gets a psychiatric exam, and the psychologist determines that he needs to go home. So he gets released. We see him trying to call home, trying to call back to Linda, but he hangs up before she answers. I think he's just too messed up to really try. Like, he thought about it, and he's like, no, I can't put that on her, I guess.
Yeah.
So he just kind of wanders around Saigon, I'm guessing. Or like a town that's near it. And he ends up finding a Russian roulette gambling ring. Where these people are literally, like, basically what the soldiers were doing, but for themselves. Like, they are playing Russian roulette and betting on themselves.
It's like a whole big deal.
Yeah. And so Nick goes in there, and what he doesn't know is that Mike is there watching. But they don't... Mike sees Nick, but Nick does not see Mike. Nick interrupts the guys, like, they're doing their Russian roulette. So he, like, takes the gun from one of them, aims it at the one guy's head who was about to take his turn, and pulls the trigger. And that guy doesn't die, but then Nick puts the gun to his head and pulls the trigger, and then runs. And I'm just like, what in the world is wrong?
It's like, this is what you start to see him just like losing his shit.
Yeah, he's deteriorating. And so he hurries out with the Frenchman who, like, took him there. And
Yes.
they're driving away. And Nick throws all of his money back behind the car. And all these people get him. All these people that were riding their bikes get the money.
And Mike tries to go after him, and he's just like, he can't, he just loses him.
Yeah, because there's all the bikes, and Nick's in a car, so... like, no matter how hard you try, as a person, you're probably not going to be able to catch a car.
Probably not.
So, then we get to see that Mike gets to go home. So he's heading home, and he's in the taxi cab, and we see, like, a banner, a Welcome Home Michael banner.
Yeah.
And so he, like, tells the cab driver to keep driving, 'cause he doesn't want a party. He doesn't want the attention. He just wants to come home and everything to be normal.
Yeah.
So we see the people of the party, they see the cab drive by thinking, you know, it's Michael. And yeah, they're right, but it doesn't stop, so they think that they're wrong. So they kind of continue waiting.
And Mike goes, he gets a hotel room, and he just,
Yeah.
like, kind of just, in a sense, kind of decompresses.
Yeah.
Kind of gets his mind and his shit together before he tries to, you know, greet people or talk to people.
Yeah. And so the next morning he goes back to the house and he meets up with Linda. She's the only one still at the house. So they kind of talk, like, getting to know what's happened to each other over the past couple of years, however long they've been gone. And we also find out that Nick still hasn't come home.
And he never wrote or called or did anything.
Yeah, so Linda is kind of upset about that, because they were supposed to get married. And then we also find out, because Mike walks Nick walks Linda to the grocery store and then leaves her there because she's working. And then he goes to visit Steve's wife to find out, like, how he's doing and stuff. So he gets there and finds out Steve is alive and he came back from Vietnam, but he doesn't live with his wife. Like, he pretty much gave up. So, Angela, that's Steve's wife, we see she has the little boy now. The one that she was pregnant with.
And the little boy's playing with a fake gun.
Yeah.
And I love how he points it at Mike. He's like, boo! You know, like, tries to pretend to shoot at him. And I'm like, oh, that's such a little kid thing. But to, like, someone who just came back from work, it's probably not a good thing.
Yeah, but he's a little kid. He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
So, Angela writes down a number for where Steve is, and she just kind of sends him off, and Steven is at a rehabilitation clinic. And we find out that's because he lost his legs in the war.
Yeah. And he gets his motorized, like, wheelchair, which I'm like,
Yeah.
that is so cool.
And also, he doesn't have the use of one of his arms because of, like, psychological damage. Like, it's not that he lost his arm, it's just he can't use it psychologically. He cannot use it.
It's all up in the brain.
Yeah. So Steven goes, and he's talking to Michael, and he says that somebody in Saigon keeps sending him carved elephants and lots of money.
And he's like, it's Nick.
Yeah. So Mike goes back to Saigon after he takes Steven home, no matter how much Steven is protesting.
And you see, this is, like, right near the end of, like, the U.S. involvement in Vietnam. There's people storming the embassies, people trying to leave Vietnam, and it's just crazy chaoticness.
Yeah. So Mike goes and he's out. Well, before he leaves, he goes hunting with a couple of, like, he goes with Stanley and Axel and John before he goes back to Saigon. And they are just, they're not it's not the friendship that they used to have. It just ends up being like a confrontation and a big problem, and everybody's angry at each other, especially Stan and Mike are angry at each other.
It's like war changes a person.
Yeah. So then Mike goes back to Saigon, which, like you said, it's right before the end of the war in the fall of, I guess, the North Vietnamese army. So Mike finds Nick at the Russian roulette club. And he pulls Nick aside and he's like trying to talk to him, trying to talk sense into him. But Nick is just like, he's lost it completely. Like, he doesn't even recognize Mike.
Yeah, he's just gone.
And all he really wants to do is play Russian roulette, which I don't understand why, because it's not, I mean, I guess I kind of understand why he's psychologically damaged and stuff, but also, this is not a game that you will always win. Eventually, you will lose. There's no skill in this game.
None.
It's all luck.
It is all luck, and it's amazing how he's lasted that long.
Yeah. And so Nick goes back in and he's playing again, and Mike and Nick are playing against each other. Go through a few rounds. And then Nick plays his final round of Russian roulette. He loses.
Yeah, he shoots himself.
Yeah. And so...
Yeah, and this is the part I was like, that blood is not that convincing to me.
Yeah.
It was very bright red.
Yeah.
And I'm like, blood, like, when it comes out like that, it's not that bright.
And it just, like, gushes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it, like, spurts, too. Because, yes, head wounds do kind of gush, but they don't gush outward. They just kind of go with gravity and, like, fall down.
And he had fallen, like, kind of sideways and back.
Yeah. So, the only thing we can assume is that Mike takes Nick's body home. Because the next thing we see is the funeral.
Yeah. Get a funeral. And I'm like, this is a full-grown man, right? Why is there only 4 people carrying this casket?
Because he's not actually in the casket.
Well, if you're trying to be, like, keep it real, you gotta have more than just 4 people doing it and making it look like it wasn't that heavy.
Yeah. Because I feel
come on.
Like, even Mike, who has stayed in good shape and stuff like that, even he would struggle and it'd be heavy because, I mean, yes, Nick is skinny, but even a skinny full-grown man is heavy. And a casket is heavy. Yes. You put the two together and it's just, like, super heavy.
And I'm just like, I'm like, really? You're not making this very realistic. I know, it's probably because I've been to a shit ton of funerals, but I know, I'm like, there's nothing in there. Yeah. Nothing.
But yeah, so they do the church ceremony and then they go to the graveyard and they're burying him and everybody is there, even Angela and Steven, who seem to be kind of, in like glimpse that we get of them in the couple times we see them in these last like 10 minutes of the movie, they seem to be working back to how they were.
It was going to be a slow process, but it's slowly getting there.
Yeah. So, funeral's over. They're done at the graveyard. So, Stan, Angela, Steven, Mike, Linda, and Axel, and John go back to John's bar, and they start singing God Bless America.
While eating breakfast.
And they
drinking, and
toast
all that.
Nick. Yeah.
And that's it.
I really didn't understand the God Bless America song. Like, I mean, I feel like if we had known that maybe it was Nick's favorite or something like that, then that would make more sense, but they just kind of sing it.
Yeah, so Meryl Streep started it, and I'm like, I'm out. I checked out. I did.
John started singing, like, in the kitchen first, and then Meryl Streep picked it up when he came back out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. They toast Nick, and movie's over.
Yep. That's it.
So yeah. So the music for this is by Stanley Myers. He has 142 composing credits. He did pass away in 1993, so anything past 1993 that he has composing credits for, it's just they pulled his music from something else to use. So he is known for The Witched from 1990, Prick Up Your Ears from 1987, Jarhead from 2005. That's one that they just pulled his music for. And then the first thing he ever worked on was ITV Television Playhouse. He did one episode of that in 1961. I don't really remember much of the music for this. I remember John playing the piano, and I did really like that. And then the song at the end, not the God Bless America, but the very end when, like, the credits are rolling, right at the beginning, when you see, like, the pictures of everybody popping up. I remember that. But most of the rest of the music I don't really remember. So, I mean, for me, it's not memorable music, so...
It's like, it was okay.
So, as far as I know, there's nothing to compare this to.
Not that I can think of, no.
I don't think there's, like, a sequel. There's not a book. I think this is it. So, trivia.
I got a few.
Okay.
So this was John Cazale's last film. he had cancer while filming this, and he was very weak, so they did all of his scenes first.
Yeah.
And then after filming wrapped, he did pass away. So
I thought
he never did get to see the movie.
I thought he passed away right before filming was done, but he was done filming his stuff.
It was right after, like, right as soon as, like, filming was done, he passed away.
Oh, I thought it was before.
No. Like, but he never get to see the film, which is really sad. That reminds me of another actor, but we'll get to that later. When we do that movie. The funny thing also, so him and Meryl Streep were actually in a relationship during this movie, too. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, I did not know that.
Yeah.
So, what else? Oh, it was all shot on location. They were not on a soundstage at all.
I wanted to look at something like filming locations, because there was some shots in there with that first time when all the guys were going hunting that I'm like, some of that looks like Colorado.
And that's what I was thought of the steel mill too, actually. I'm like, that looks super familiar. But it's a steel mill in Pennsylvania. But it looks similar to the ones in Colorado, especially where I live. I recognized it. I was like, when I first watched it, I'm like, that's a steel mill. Like, easily.
Yeah, a lot of Washington, Ohio, Thailand. They were in Thailand a lot.
Yes.
Pennsylvania, of course. So, yeah. Not any Colorado. But, you know, that mountain scene when they're driving through the mountain, like the mountains and stuff.
Yeah.
That just really reminded me of going from, like, Fort Collins area up to Estes Park. So, that's why I thought maybe it was Colorado, but I guess it's not.
It's not. I mean, there's a lot of areas, like you said, like Washington, that look like Colorado.
Yeah.
That nice mountainous areas.
Yeah.
What else? So a lot of the slapping was real. Straight up. Like the person, like when it was, the person doing the Russian roulette when they were, prisoners of war. Yeah. Oh yeah. They're like, he was really slapping them. Yeah, it really was. And it's irritating the actors, like De Niro and Walken.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm like, he was really slapping them. Yeah. And near the end, when Walken spits in De Niro's face, he really did spit in his face.
Dang.
I'm like, that is beautiful. I'm like, you really spit in his face. Which, like, I'm like, wow. That is crazy. And I thought this is another good one. I'll end with this. Well, there's two of them, actually. So, De Niro and Savage, Steve and Mike, they actually did their own stunts when they were off the helicopter, when they fell. That was really them. Yeah. They really did fall. And they were actually, like everything they did, like, in those cages, that was really them, like, on, like, on location in those actual, like, cages. They weren't just, like, screwing around. They actually did all of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of this was, like, they did all of their own things, pretty much.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Not many stunt people.
No. And of course, one more thing, sorry. This went with the Oscars. So, and with the money. I was going to talk about that. So, it was like their first screening, it was terrible. People were just so irritated with how one-sided everything was. And so they used that to their advantage. They're like, okay, we're just going to show this for people, so like a small portion of people, a limited release, so it can be eligible for the Oscars. So after that, after all these, like, the Oscar people were like, oh my god, this is great, and it got a bunch of nominations. Then it had the wider release.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I did see somewhere that, like, the very first, like, test screening, like, for the executives was, like, 5 hours.
That's super long.
Yeah, I was like, I definitely...
They cut that. Thank God.
Don't think I would have enjoyed this movie if it was 5 hours.
Oh, no. 3 was way long.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's trivia.
Okay. So, where it has been on the list before, and where it's at right now. In 2010, it was number 135. In 2012, it was number 134. 2014, number 148. 2016, number 163. 2018, number 166. And as of today, when we are recording, it is number 180.
So it's slipping.
Yeah. And I think that's just because the amount of war movies that we have. This one's just not, like, so far, the ones we've seen, war movie-wise, this one is at the bottom, for me, personally, of all the war movies we've seen. So, I think that just might be what it is. There's just other war movies that portray war better, whereas this one kind of focuses on the before and after, whereas most war movies focus on the actual war part of it. So
yeah, I would agree with you.
So then, previously, number 162, 2010, Groundhog Day from 1993, 2012, Life of Brian from 1979, 2014, Dial M for Murder from 1954, 2016, Train Spotting from 1996, and 2018, Gone with the Wind from 1939. Then as of today, when we are recording, number 162 is The Elephant Man from 1980.
So all movies that are on the list.
Yep. And 2 that we've seen so far, the rest of them are coming up.
Yes.
So podcast trivia, let's see here. So, director, this is the first time we've had Michael Cimino. I don't remember if we'll have him again, maybe.
I don't think so. I checked his other films. He's only directed like 8 movies, and this is his best one.
Gotcha.
It's the highest rated.
Gotcha.
The other ones are like 6s and 7s and 5s.
Gotcha. So then, actors, John Cazale. We have had him before in Dog Day Afternoon. And then Christopher Walken. We have had him before in Catch Me If You Can. And we will have both of them again. And then this is our first one that we've had Robert De Niro again in. And we will have him again.
Oh, definitely. I was like, I could just name like a few of them.
Yeah. We will be having all 3 of them again. Of the main 3 actors. And I went through and I was like looking at the movies of pretty much the rest of the actors, and when I do that, I like pull their name up and I look at the first, like, their 4 most well-known movies, and that's what I use. So as of right now, I don't think we'll have any of the other actors in this movie again besides those 3, but we may, so we shall see. So then composer. This is the first time that we had Stanley Myers, and I don't remember if we'll have him again, but we'll see. This is the first movie that we've had from 1978. Just before it, from 1977, we had Annie Hall, and then just after it, from 1979, was Stalker and Life of Brian. And then genre for this is our 5th war film. The other ones that we've had, The Best Years of Our Lives, which kind of like this one shows the aftermath of war. But I feel like The Best Years of Our Lives did it better, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Then we've also had Platoon, Hacksaw Ridge, and Come and See. And those all depicted war better, in my opinion.
Yes.
So... votes. This has just under 300,000, so it's right there with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse at just above 295,000 votes. And then this has a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes, along with Iron Man, Logan, Young Frankenstein, and Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And then Metacritic, this had an 86%, along with quite a few movies on our list, and and one event movie. So the other ones that had 86% were Dog Day Afternoon, Nazca of the Valley of the Wind, Aladdin, $1 Million Baby, Persona, and Rebecca. So sitting with some good company there.
Yeah.
And that's all of our podcast trivia for this one. So, favorite line.
I have 5.
Okay.
You trying to look like a prince? What do you mean trying? Fuck it.
I wrote that down.
I don't know if I got this correct, but it just made me laugh. Have you ever taken a piss and drank a beer at the same time?
Oh yeah, I heard that one too. I thought it was funny.
Who do you think you are? God? And this one, I think, is probably my favorite. I don't fit.
Gotcha. Alright. So, I only had 4. And mine were, fuck it. One shot. He says that a number of times. When he's talking about the deer. And then also when he's kind of like trying to get Nick to come back to reality.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's to Nick. And then my last one, all he's got is that stupid gun he carries around like John Wayne. That's it. So let's see who picked last time.
Oh, I think I did.
No, I think I did the do you think God is stupid? Or God is going to save you from being stupid? I think that was... Or no. Maybe that one was yours.
Well, I think it was my line that you liked. I think that's it.
Well, I don't know, because I picked Finding Nemo. So you would have picked There Will Be Blood.
Alright. So you pick.
I think Fuck It.
I like it. I was going with that one too if I had to pick.
So, that is our favorite line. So, our rating.
I'm stuck. I don't know which one to pick. It's between like a 6 and a 7. I'm gonna go with a 7 on this one. Because I knew it wouldn't go any lower than a 6. What saved it, a lot of it, was the good acting.
Yeah.
There's some really good acting in here. I will say, by all. I'm not discounting Meryl Streep. I just don't like her very much. Yeah, some really good acting. It was just too long for me. And I felt like there could have been, like I said earlier, a better job at like telling how it is when someone comes back from war.
Yeah.
Because they could have done a better job with that. And yeah, that beginning part could have been cut down way more. That was like a good hour. I was like, that's too long.
Yeah.
It's too long. But there were some good special effects in here. Some. Not all. I said some. Yeah, I can see why Walken won the Oscar for this. I can.
Yeah, he did a really good job with this movie.
So yeah, that's my rating. Give it a 7.
Okay. So for me, I'm giving this a 6. Because like I said, of the war movies we've seen so far, I feel like this one doesn't give us enough war to be considered a war movie, really.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it does give us the war, and yes, we do get, like, kind of the aftermath, but I feel like they spend way too much time at the beginning like, building up the characters. Because,
Yeah, that could have been cut.
in Platoon, we get the building up of characters, but I feel like I cared more about the characters in Platoon than I did in this, and there wasn't as much build up for the characters.
Yeah, that's true.
The acting, though, was really good. Like you said, great acting. I can definitely see why some of them were nominated, and even I can see why some of them won Oscars and Golden Globes and stuff. Some of the special effects, like you said, like the makeup, really well done. Other special effects, not so good. So it's kind of a 50-50 on that. Like I said, the music for me just wasn't memorable. And if I don't remember it, I just don't care about the music. So that kind of takes away a little bit for me. And then just lastly, it just really fits with my other 6s. It's just kind of in that little area. So yeah. Our next film is Fargo from 1996, which is also a TV show, so we will be comparing it a little bit to the TV show. As of right now, there's only the 3 seasons. The 4th season is supposed to be coming out this year.
Supposed to, but we'll see.
Yeah, especially with everything that's going on, everything's getting delayed, so that will be out next week. And then our event that's coming up is our Harry Potter event, and that will be out at the end of July, very last day of July. The episodes we are going to be covering on that one are going to be Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Part 2. And Part 2 is on our list. We just skipped it. It was number 218. So we'll finally be getting to number 218.
Finally.
We will have our guests back for that one, so make sure you check out those 2 episodes. And then we are offering Premium and Patreon. If you would like to become a Premium or Patron member, all you have to do is follow the links in the show notes. You can do so for just $1 a month. All of the bonuses and stuff that you get are at the link, so you can look there to see which level you want. Our special monthly episode for May is going to be Jumanji, the original one with Robin Williams, which is a movie that I was kind of surprised wasn't on the top 250 list because of like how popular it is. Especially when I was growing up, it's super popular. And even now it's popular because it's being remade. It's got a remake and then a sequel to the remake.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of surprised that it wasn't on the list. So that will be out on the 31st, which is the day after Fargo is released. So if you'd like to check that out and you're not a Premium or Patron member, you will be able to get it for just $1. If you cannot support us that way, you can always leave us ratings and reviews. Those help us out a lot. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. So make sure you do that. If you'd like to talk to us, you can talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or you can email us. All of the links are in the show notes. Our music is by Audio Binger, and you can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website, audiobinger.net. So until next time with Fargo, thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.